Hello and welcome back to my Diary of a Backmarker series where I log and talk about my sim racing journey. A few things are different since my last video, as I have upgraded to the Fanatec DD2 wheelbase and upgraded my Thrustmaster T38 Pro pedals to the Fanatec Clubsport V3 pedals. This hasn't made me any better, but it did make my enjoyment of sim racing even more fun. I did have the bright idea to join too many leagues at once and pick up iRacing too, which took away from my time to even edit. Plus I have something called a job, so I had to tend to that also. But I found myself in iRacing with the new Dallara P217 dragging me back to the allure of the IMSA series. With the first track being Monza, I thought what better time to once again get back into iRacing and another way to catalog my journey. Also, stay tuned for the end for a special livery reveal that the team and I plan to use for the upcoming Petit Le Mans. For a hint, it's the ultimate golf livery tribute. So here we are, my first time at Monza with the Dallara P217, still getting used to the brakes. I love the start of the parade lap, and it's always been fun to get into the immersion of pretending I'm actually a race car driver. But at the same time, I'm stupid levels of nervous for some reason. Maybe it's because it's a new car, a different series, or just racing against people I don't know. Not to mention, as I said before, I'm still getting used to not having ABS brakes like in the GT3 cars, where I basically can stomp on the brakes without worrying about a lockup. I get a horrible start, and the majority of field blows past me. I remind myself to go easy on the brakes since I don't want to rear end anyone, but as it turns out, I need to get on the brakes more. I quickly aim for the runoff instead of killing the driver in front of me, and make sure to leave plenty of space for the other drivers as I rejoin the track. It is time to just try to settle back into the groove and not be shaken. Another thing I have been getting used to is not being able to eat curves like in the GT3 cars, especially with the Bentley Continental GT3 where the curves are almost never an issue for me. With the LMP2 cars, they are much rougher, and I'm about to find out about that later. I end up locking my brakes and the driver behind me tries to dive away, and it looks more like a netcode more than anything else, as I thought he was clear of me. It was my fault in the end for locking up the brakes, and I'm glad that I didn't ruin the race for the other driver. Once again, I'm making sure not to rejoin in a dangerous way and begin to cut my way through the GTE cars. It's crazy how fast the GTE cars are, and how the LMP2 cars make it look like they're standing still at times. I'm not heavy enough on the brakes and I end up going wide, but thankfully the power of the Dallara is able to make up for my mistakes as I get ahead of the GTEs. As usual, you hear the saying, to finish first, you first must finish. This is extremely true, as you see an LMP2 car to my left crash into the wall, giving me a free place despite the driver's pace being that much faster. This is where the fun is, as I've caught up to another LMP2 driver and we are fighting for position while the GTE cars are also fighting for position. Thankfully, no one's race is ruined as we fight through the field and get past the GTE cars with relative ease. I finally settled into the race and I stopped making huge errors, but iRacing will come back to bite me. I'm so worried and paranoid about locking up my brakes that I end up running wide, and at 25 miles per hour I clip the curbs for this to happen. Well, that's the end of my first race in the Dallara P217. I end up sitting in the pits for about 30 plus minutes, and I still finished the race though. Seat time is seat time, I guess. So for my second time at Monza, I've grown more comfortable with how not to lock up my brakes. The starts are always so hectic as you never know what's going to happen, especially going into turn 1. This time I get a much better start, but I'm not looking to dive bomb the first turn. Ahead someone gets tapped, and I'm just doing my best to avoid any trouble. I'm now in second place, and I'm very shocked at this since I know I shouldn't have the pace for it, but I'll enjoy it while I can. First place ends up going wide, and I'm now in fact leading the pack, and this won't last long, especially as we go side by side into Ascari. The driver goes wide and I have to quickly avoid him, bunny hopping off the curbs and hitting the ground pretty hard. I'll pay for this later in the race, you'll see. Already my pace is showing with the other drivers passing me. I'm not looking to hold them up since I'm uncomfortable fighting in this car still, but I just focus on me and continue to make up places. The first lap has been really wild, and this is what can make Monza such a blast and such a horror show all at once. And I want to highlight just how fast these LMP2 cars are compared to the GTE cars. I'm able to quickly slip by the new C8R and continue to catch up to the cars ahead of me. Now remember that bunny hop? Turns out the underbelly of the car didn't like it at all. My engine blows as I lose oil pressure, and what was another great race is ruined. I'm once again towed into the pits and I find myself with some 30 plus minutes of repairs needed. I still finish out the race, as seat time is still seat time I suppose. So there it is, my first 2 races at IMSA, and both of them were pretty unfortunate, but regardless, I'm loving the Dallara P217. And I'm linking up with 2 of my league mates, and we're going to be entering in the Petit Le Mans 10-hour endurance race at Road Atlanta this week. Oh, remember that livery unveiling? Here's the official team Sim Racing 3D Prints car livery, sponsored by our ARC ACC crew and D&H Photography. This is the ultimate golf tribute using various golf car colors as the camo. I'm really amazed at how this turned out, and I want to give a huge shout out to the Treasurer 86 for his beautiful work on the car and bringing the idea to life. I left a link in the description if you want to contact him via Fiverr and let him know that I say hello. We are excited about the upcoming endurance race and we'll be streaming it live via Twitch with the link also in the description. Thanks for watching a very delayed diary of a backmarker, and if you've enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel to pester me to not slack off so much next time. Hope to see you in the public lobbies and have fun racing.